If you're afraid of the dark, don't be, because look, there's nothing to be scared of. Watch. See? Wait. As a kid, I did a lot of dumb things that I'm pretty sure we all did growing up. So I'm gonna tell you some stories about some of these things I did, including a time when my stupidity brought someone this close to dying. So when I was in school, every classroom had the exact same ceiling tiles, white squares with tiny holes in them. And the second you notice these holes as a kid, your brain doesn't ask what they're for. Your brain decides they're a target, a challenge. Because you can only focus for so long learning about the Revolutionary War before you get bored. So me and my friends created a game, and this is how it would work. We would make paper airplanes, but not the normal ones out of notebook paper because those were too big for what we were trying to do. Instead, we used Post-it notes. Tiny, fast, disposable. You could fold one in the time it took for a teacher to sneeze. But the goal with these paper airplanes wasn't to throw it across the room. The goal was to throw it towards the ceiling and have it wedge into those tiny little holes. So we would wait until the teacher looked away from us and then immediately throw it into the ceiling. We did this any opportunity we got. Teacher turns to write on the board, launch a Post-it note. Teacher bends down to pick up a marker, launch a Post-it note. And when it stuck, you felt like you won the Super Bowl. One time, our teacher turned their head to sneeze and a student tried flicking it into the ceiling, but they totally misjudged it because it slingshotted straight into the teacher's head. The most fun part about this game was that whenever the teacher saw this Post-it note in the ceiling, she would get furious knowing we were doing this behind her back. And she would always demand for whoever was doing this to admit to it. But since basically the whole class was involved, no one ever snitched. And this game didn't just stay inside one classroom. No, eventually the whole school was doing it. No matter what class you walked into, you could probably find one of these things sticking in the ceiling. All the teachers at the school were starting to get really frustrated with this. So what they do to fight back? They basically put a bounty out there. Whoever got caught for throwing the Post-it notes at the ceiling would get suspended. Because up to this point, no one had ever been caught for it. The whole school was moving like James Bond. But unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end. And one day, somebody got caught. His name was Noah. And when this happened, the rumor was spreading around school like Paul Revere telling everyone the British are coming. So all the students are getting super nervous. Because at this point, pretty much everyone was involved in doing this. So if Noah snitched on us, was the whole school just gonna get suspended? Well, we never found out the answer to that question because Noah didn't snitch. He didn't say it was a group thing. He didn't say there was others involved. He just took the blame for every single Post-it note around school like he was a Navy SEAL protecting secrets for the government. So he got suspended, and that was it. No one else got punished. I'm pretty sure the school knew there were more students involved than just him because the Post-it notes were literally all over school, but finding everyone who did it would just be too much work. To this day, people from our school still talk about what Noah did to protect all of us. We even started a petition to build a statue for him outside of school. It only got 6 signatures, but hey, I thought that counts. During the same time period, we had another hobby, destroying erasers, but specifically poking holes in them. You'd be sitting there once again bored out of your mind, so we would take the tip of our pencil and start stabbing the eraser over and over until it looked like one of those Operation board games. No goal. You just keep going until the eraser became useless. Teachers must have watched us do this every day and just thought, I really hope this doesn't lead to them being a serial killer in the future. But to be honest, they've probably seen way worse. Like, they've seen kids eat glue. And when I say kids, I mean me. Don't ask why I did it, because I'll never tell you. Okay, fine. The glue was cold and white like milk, so I thought it would taste like milk too. It didn't. From this point on in my childhood, I only got stupider because another thing I loved to do as a kid was climbing up the stairs on all fours. I'm pretty sure literally every single one of you watching this video has tried this at least once. And if you haven't, I'm sorry because it feels awesome. Now you may be thinking, Tyler, what's wrong with doing this as a child? That's not dumb. And you're right. I totally agree with you. But you see, the problem is I didn't stop doing this when I grew up. I actually only stopped doing this recently because of what a dog did to me. So here's what happened. I'm in my college apartment building. The elevator is broken, which it literally always was. And even when it was in service, I wouldn't want to use it because I don't know how to make conversations with people in elevators. And I saw a homeless guy sleeping in there one time. So I'm taking the stairs this day like usual, but I lived on the 8th floor of this building. So walking that many flights of stairs was exhausting. So what I would do is look up and down the staircase, and whenever the coast was clear, I would run up it on all fours, just like back in the day. And I did this for a couple months without anyone ever seeing me until this one specific time where I'm crawling up the stairs and I'm at the spot where you're about to turn. But right as I start to turn, for a split second, I see a dog on a leash being walked by a girl. And the problem is, me and the dog were at the same eye level because I was crawling. So to the dog, I didn't look like a human using the stairs. No, I looked like another animal trying to attack it. So the dog aggressively lunges toward me before this poor girl had any time to react. She didn't even really turn the corner yet, so she had no idea what her dog was even looking at. But since the girl was holding the dog on a leash, when it lunged, She basically got catapulted forward like 5 feet and fell down about 3 stairs. She landed straight on her side. The dog's barking at me and I freeze on all fours like a possum playing dead, not knowing whether I should stand back up like a normal human or just try to convince the girl that I'm part wolf or something. After about 15 seconds of this poor girl shaking off the fall she just took, she looks at me, understandably furious, and asks why I'm crawling up the stairs like that. And in that moment, I realized there is no explanation that will make me sound sane. There's no sentence that begins with, oh, well, I was just, that ends with her being okay with it. So I did the only thing I could think of in this moment. I pretended I didn't speak English. I stared at her like she was speaking in code, and then I went, no hablo inglés. When she realized I couldn't understand her, she just shook her head and kept walking down the stairs with her dog. And I assumed that was the end of it. Embarrassing moment, dog got excited, the girl fell, might have broke her rib. I pretended to be from a different country. We all move on. Except that wasn't the end of it. Because next semester, I walk into my first day of a new class, which meant I had no idea who would be in it yet. And I got to this class pretty late, which meant there was only 2 open seats left. One in the very front row, no thank you, or one about 4 rows back right next to this blonde girl. I didn't pay much attention to her at first until the teacher said to discuss with the person next to you what you're looking forward to learning in this class. So I turn to my right, and that's when I realize it's the same girl from the dog incident. The moment we made eye contact, it took us about a second before both realizing, wait, this is the person from the staircase. And now I have a problem because remember, I already committed to being a non-English speaker in front of her. I can't suddenly be fluent now without exposing that I lied because I was embarrassed. So she gave me a slightly dirty look and then said,
I guess I'll go first.
and after she finished saying what she's looking forward to learning in this class, she went,
Okay, your turn.
and I'm grasping at straws here, trying to figure out what to do, when my mouth just blurted something out before my brain could even think. I went, yo looking forward to business. It took her about 4 seconds to realize I did not actually speak Spanish. And right when she figured that out, she went,
I knew it.
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I met my girlfriend. No, I'm just kidding. We didn't date, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure she hated me, actually. But we did end up being pretty nice to each other after I told her how sorry I was. So, I mean, maybe if she's watching this video, Vanessa, you wanna give me a chance? No? Yeah, that was a stupid question. My bad. Anyways, so if you ever see me crawling up the stairs like an animal, mind your business. Speaking of things I'm scared of, let's talk about being scared of the dark, because I got in big trouble for this as a kid. How do you get in trouble for being scared of the dark? Well, you see, saying I was scared of the dark is an understatement. I was terrified. Like, I was so confident that whenever I turned the lights off in a room, there was a 100% chance that a monster was gonna come touch me. I mean, when I put it like that, it doesn't actually sound too bad. I don't know what to say now. Anyways, because I was so horrified of the dark, going to the bathroom in the middle of the night was very hard for me because I didn't want to turn all the lights on and blind myself at 2 a.m., but I also didn't trust whatever was hiding in the shadows of my house. So to fight off any potential monsters, I would always bring my metal water bottle with me to the bathroom as a weapon, just in case. It just made me feel a little more protected. Surely I never actually had to use the water bottle as a weapon though, right? Well, one night, I wake up at 3 a.m. and I have to pee. So I get up, grab the water bottle, and go to the bathroom like I'm on a stealth mission. I do my business peeing on the side of the toilet and not in the middle because I want to be as quiet as possible. I don't want the monsters hearing my stream. And when I'm done, I slowly open the door to head back to my room. But right when I open that door, I see a shadowy figure. So I scream real quick, not knowing what else to do. But then I'm like, wait, this is the whole reason I bring my water bottle to the bathroom. Now it's time to use it. So I swing this thing at the shadowy figure and make good contact with it. Like I could literally hear a doink. But to my surprise, the shadowy figure started crying. Loud. I didn't think monsters cried, but when I turn on the lights, that's when I see this wasn't a monster, it was my brother. Apparently, he also had to go to the bathroom right after I did. And like I said, I was being super stealthy, so he had no idea I was even in there. He goes to open the door, and without even saying anything, he just gets bonked on the head with a weapon disguised as hydration. Of course, because he was crying so loud, which meant I did get a pretty good hit on him, my parents woke up. They're thinking the house is getting robbed because my dad comes out of their room with a baseball bat. I thought I was about to be the next one to get whacked, but unlike me, they used their brain and turned the lights on to see what was happening. And it was pretty obvious. My brother was on the ground, crying with a bump on his head that made him look like a cartoon character, while I was standing there trying to hide the bottle. I got grounded for a week. That was also the first moment in my life where I learned that my fight or flight response is mostly fight. Now let's move to something else I used to always do in the bathroom. And I really hope this one is relatable, because if it's not, it's gonna sound disgusting. So if you didn't do what I'm about to say when you were a kid too, just pretend you didn't hear this. Anyways, when I was younger, my parents would basically have to force me to shower. I didn't know why, but I just did not want to do it when I was a kid. But when my parents noticed this, they would literally say,
Tyler, get in the shower right now or else.
But because of how much I did not want to do that, instead of actually showering, I would just go into the bathroom, turn on the shower, and then sit on the toilet for about 10 minutes or so, just enough time to make my parents think I actually took one. Why did I do this instead of just getting in the water and being clean? No idea. It was literally more effort to fake it. I was treating them telling me to get in the shower like them asking me to jump in a volcano. I just was not gonna do it. And I thought I was a genius for doing this. I thought my parents had no idea about it and I was just getting away with it. Did they actually notice? Probably, but they just didn't care enough to do anything because they had 2 other kids that would also drive them crazy. So if I never got caught by my parents for doing this, why'd I stop? Well, the reason I quit was way worse than my parents catching me, because instead, this happened. I go to school one morning, sit down in class, and I hear the girl that sits next to me go,
Tyler, do you work at the same place my dad does?
and I'm like, no, we're like 9 years old, why would I have a job? Then she goes,
Because you smell like my dad whenever he gets home from work.
so now I'm thinking, well, where does your dad work, huh? The cologne store? But then she says her dad is a garbage truck driver. That was it. That was the moment I realized I needed to start showering every day. Because believe it or not, if you don't shower, you will smell like garbage. Literally. Yeah. I'm talking to you, guy I always see at the coffee shop, who I have to cover my nose whenever I walk by. I got nothing against you, but please, just shower. I can't take the scent anymore. Ever since that day, I made a promise to myself. I will be the best smelling person in every room. So now, I smell amazing. Matter of fact, if you ever see me in public, feel free to smell me. Just don't make it weird. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. Okay, the next dumb thing I did as a kid had to do with sidewalk cracks. Now everyone's heard of this before. Don't step on the sidewalk crack or else something bad might happen. It's like walking under a ladder, breaking a mirror, just things you aren't supposed to do for some reason. And you might think there's some truth to this, but not really. But I genuinely believe it is bad luck to step on a sidewalk crack after what happened to me when I did. Because one day, I'm going to the gym to play basketball with my friends, and accidentally, I step on a crack. I'm thinking, dang it, I lost the game. But that's all. Nothing bad is actually gonna come from this. Well, boy, was I wrong. Because you know what happened while I was playing basketball that day? This. Yeah, I dislocated my kneecap. Was it just a coincidence? Maybe, or maybe not. Either way, I don't want to find out again. I learned my lesson. That was the day my dreams of becoming a professional athlete died. If I'm being honest, I was never gonna make it as a professional athlete. This was just the day where I finally had a fake excuse for why. Now, the moment you're all waiting for, the promise I made at the beginning of this video. Because this final thing I did as a kid was by far the most dumb event out of any of these other stories, like by a wide margin. And like I said in the intro, it almost ended with someone dying. So let's get into it. At my house growing up, I had a trampoline in my backyard. And to put it lightly, this was basically the coolest thing about me as a kid. I was low-key kind of chopped. I wasn't very athletic, so this was basically all I had going for me. Because I had a trampoline in my backyard, my house basically became my neighborhood's headquarters. Whenever any of my friends wanted to do something, they would come over and jump on my trampoline. And eventually, word got out about me having a trampoline to the point where my friends were bringing their friends to my house who I didn't even know. At first, it was awesome. Even though most of the people who came over didn't actually care about me at all and just wanted to bounce on the trampoline, at the time, I actually thought they liked me. But one day, this whole trampoline experience got a little too out of hand because 12 different kids showed up to my house. I knew 2 of them, but the other 10, literally never seen them before in my life. And unfortunately, since there were 12 people at my house, including some girls, my friend decided, hey, I gotta impress everybody. This is my chance. So he came up with an idea that almost got him sent to the gulag. He didn't tell us what he was doing at first. Instead, he just disappeared for a couple minutes and then randomly appeared on the roof. When I saw him up there, I said, oh no, under my breath, because I knew exactly what he was about to attempt to do. He screamed out,
Hey everybody, I'm gonna jump from here onto the trampoline. But right before I land, I want all of you to jump on the trampoline too, so I bounce super high.
Everyone cheered when he said that and thought this was a great idea. To a group of kids whose frontal lobe hasn't developed yet, this sounds awesome. But even at that age, I knew something bad was about to happen. But since there were girls there, I didn't want to be the party pooper saying, guys, that could be dangerous. Let's not do that. So I just went along with it. We counted him down. 3, 2, 1. And then he jumped. But this was when everyone in my backyard learned a very important lesson, which is if you mess around, you're gonna find out. Because breaking news, if you jump from 10 feet in the air onto a trampoline while there's a group of 12 other people bouncing you, when you land, you're basically gonna bounce all the way to space. And that's exactly what he did. He bounced pretty much as high as the dude in this video. And when he bounces, everyone goes completely silent. Because if he bounced super high and then landed back on the trampoline, he would be fine. He could just turn and land on his back and be okay. But that's not what happened. Of course it's not. What actually happened was he mistimed the jump, like by a lot. And when he bounced, instead of bouncing straight up in the air, he bounced like this. As he's floating through the air and it becomes obvious that he's not gonna land back on that trampoline, we're all holding our breath, knowing there is literally nothing we can do. He's gonna land on the ground from probably 15 feet in the air without any cushion. And what do you know? That's exactly what happens. Smack! Right onto the ground like one of those toy gorillas people throw off the top of skyscrapers. And when he lands, we're all expecting him to pop right back up and laugh because that's just what he would usually do. He was the group daredevil. Sure, he would get bumps and scratches sometimes, but he always ended up being okay. Well, not this time, because he's laying there, face flat on the ground, not moving. We all wait about 5 seconds before doing anything, just out of pure shock, and then we all run over to him. We roll him over, and thankfully, he's alive, but he had the same look on his face I have after being on the toilet for an hour. He's like this. And we're all just like, bro, are you okay? He nods saying no, and we go, well, what are you doing with your face? Then he says,
It's because I can't scream.
why not?
If Tyler's parents hear me scream, they'll find out I got hurt and we won't be able to use the trampoline anymore.
So he just sits there with his face like that for a good minute. And once he catches his breath, he stands up. But that's when we see his shoulder is poking out to the side like this. We all freak out thinking bro is about to lose his arm or something. But then he says,
Oh, it's dislocated.
so now I say, dude, let me get my parents. They can help. But he insists.
No adults. They can't know about this. Just pop it back into place for me.
I've never done that before, but I just did what he told me to do and it worked. His shoulder was back to normal. Still in extreme agony, but back to normal. But what makes this particular story so funny and also terrifying is the fact that just the other week, I saw this same guy for the first time in probably 3 years. And when I went to give him a hug, he only awkwardly hugged me with one arm. When I asked him why, he said it's because ever since that day where he landed weirdly off my trampoline on his shoulder, it's never been the same. He thinks he broke something in his shoulder, but he couldn't go to get it checked out because he would have had to tell his parents about what happened. So instead, he just lived with the pain throughout his whole teenage years. So then I was like, dude, well, we're grown now, so why don't you just go get it checked out on your own? And you would think I just told him the cure to cancer with the way he reacted because he went,
Oh yeah, I could do that. That's a good idea. I'm gonna go do that.
I don't know if he actually listened to me, but what I do know is, even though I'm older now, I still haven't gained any brain cells.